Welcome, everybody, to Comrades, Cocktails, and Comics. It's a show where we get together, we drink together, but most importantly, we read together. Now raise your glasses and please help me welcome your hosts, Snoop Lynch and Higgins Snoop. Enjoy.
Welcome back, damn it. I don't need to do that, do I?
No.
Because someone did it for us.
Yeah, thanks thanks to our good buddy Sherelle for giving us a new intro.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's Women's Day. We were like, who do we know?
That's a woman.
That's a woman that likes alcohol and I don't know.
And likes us.
Likes us enough to say some words into a mic.
Yep, and we cornered her when she was at work one day and she couldn't refuse, but we really appreciate it. Great intro.
Great intro.
Great intro. We haven't recorded it yet. I'm going to insert it when we do record it, but
I'll get her to say oh, no problem, guys, at the end of it. That way you can just
toss it right to us.
Yeah, toss it right in there.
That's good. Remember that.
All right.
Yeah, but we all know it's great.
But I actually have one important question for you before we really dive deep into what we're talking about today.
Uh-huh. Well, yeah, that's good. Let's get all this stuff out of the way because when we get to the topic of the book, it's all about the women from here on out.
Yeah, no, I understand, but you might have overstepped a little bit because I'm going to ask you: are you woman enough to survive Bitch Planet?
I mean, no. But thanks for calling me out in front of all these people. Are you woman enough?
Nah, but I'd love to be a part of a girl gang, caged and enraged. I'm just reading the front again.
Yeah,
I'm doing that thing I do.
Really setting us up for a good podcast. Thanks, Higgins. I appreciate it. I appreciate you. I appreciate all the women here on International Women's Day. And you know what? I'm always calling you a real bitch, but I'm glad that today it means something good.
Yeah, I got my own planet.
Yeah. So we're going to talk about that book, Bitch Planet, but we're also going to talk about a drink because we do that here too. You want to go ahead and get that out of the way?
Yeah, so we have some fighting and some ladies, and sometimes there's blood, so we decided to go with a Bloody Mary. Mm-hmm. And I thought I was gonna hate it. I'm not gonna lie. Tomato juice, it just frightens me. It shouldn't be a beverage. But honestly,
is it food? Is it a drink?
Is it a vegetable? No, it's a fruit for whatever reason.
And today it's a drink.
And today it's a drink.
You're not hating it though.
No, it surprised me.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I maybe had one Bloody Mary before in my life, but I've never actually made one. And I didn't make one still, you did. But we decided to go with just a classic Bloody Mary recipe that I'm going to link here in the episode description. And yeah, I'm a fan. It's weird, but in an interesting way.
Yeah, and unlike most of the people in this comic book, I like people to tell me what to do. So I was pretty happy that we found a recipe that did just that.
I think you missed the entire point of that comic.
I mean, but no, that's what I'm saying. Unlike the people in this comic book.
Okay.
They don't like it when that happens.
I thought we were going to have to sit down and have a talk, but
no, it's all right. But so you guys can make one at home, and I'm going to say words into this mic that tells you how to do it in with none of those things. What are ounces and stuff?
There's some ounces in there, yeah, but you're not going to focus on that.
No.
You're going to focus on what's in the ounces, and what's that?
And what we put in ours, we salted our rim because we're fancy. Salt that rim. You can get any kind of salt you want. They said sea salt, but I don't think we had.
We didn't have.
We're
that.
not close enough to the ocean.
I went out by the local pond with my cup. Couldn't get anything.
Couldn't get any salt. But we have salt, and I put vodka in there because that's what you put in there, and then we use Smirnoff from previous drinks.
Yeah, classic alcohol. The podcast, they sponsor us many of times. Maybe
at
they'll
least
do it
once
again
or
today.
twice. Yeah, hopefully we'll probably say Smirnoff at least 3 times.
We're at 2. That's pretty good.
I know.
We've got to
We space them out a little bit.
Yeah, we've got to try not to just make it obvious and easy.
That we're just asking them for money.
If it just comes up in natural conversation, it counts as a sponsor.
But yeah, we got vodka, spicy. We use spicy vegetable juice. You can use regular vegetable juice if you would want. A V8, a tomato juice.
Yeah, I guess it just depends on, because this is a pretty spicy drink with everything else in it. You got pepper, you've got Worcestershire, you got that sauce. There's already a lot kicking in there, but if that's not enough for you, yeah, add the spicy V8.
And then we also did a dash of Tabasco.
Oh, I forgot about the Tabasco. Yeah.
So we doubled the spice.
You maybe tripled that pepper though, because
Oh yeah, I put a lot of pepper. They said pepper and salt to taste, and I was like, I'm gonna taste only that.
yeah, and that's to make up for the lack of olives that we don't have in this.
Yeah, I don't like olives.
Yeah, but you do like celery.
Yeah, I got a little celery man in here.
Mm-hmm.
He's got his arms back. He's just living in his little tomato bath.
He's just dipping a toe, isn't he?
He got skunked because that's what you're supposed to do when you get skunked. You get into a bath full of tomato juice. That's what I saw in a cartoon once.
In the 50s.
And that's, I mean, if I've learned anything, cartoons are right about everything. But yeah, that's our drink. And like, it's way better than I thought it was going to be. And it's also savory, which I don't think I've ever had in a beverage before.
Certainly not on this podcast.
I know.
Yeah. So why not? Give it a go if you want.
Or not.
That's fine too.
Yeah.
Yeah. But you know what you have to do? You have to listen to this podcast. I mean, you're already here.
You're already here. You might as well finish it.
Yeah. You're a little interested. Don't lie.
I'm a little interested in what you have to say about this book.
Oh, okay. Well, Higgins, you know, I'm always bringing the facts, so I'm just gonna sprinkle in a few here and there.
Do you have a synopsis first?
You read the front of the book for your little bit, right?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. That means I can still read the back of the book because that's the closest synopsis I could find.
Okay.
It's a real, I don't know. It really sells in my opinion.
Okay.
I'll just start now. So, Higgins, couple questions for you. Are you non-compliant?
Always.
Do you fit in your box?
I mean, I could probably fit in a box, but like for this conversation, never.
Okay, cool. That's gonna help me. Now I'm gonna hit you with a lot of stuff. So,
I'll quick answers.
okay, cool.
Quick fire.
Are you too fat?
No.
Too thin?
Yes.
Too loud?
Yes.
Too shy?
No.
Too religious?
Maybe.
Too secular?
I'm gonna say maybe again
You
because
don't know
that's the
what that
same
means.
thing. No, it means worldly, but like not religious. Those are like the opposites of each other.
Not important, because I want to know if you're too prudish,
Maybe.
too sexual,
Probably.
too queer,
Not me, but like I won't knock it.
too black.
No.
That's correct. Not that there's anything wrong with that. Too brown.
No.
Too whatever it is they'll judge you for today.
Yeah, that's definitely me.
All right, well, if you're all or none or some of those things, then you just may belong on Bitch Planet.
Oh man. Yes.
Yeah. And that's pretty much the synopsis. Yeah. It's a book about women who get sent to a prison planet.
Oh, I'm not a woman.
Look, you're already there. Just deal with it. All right. But no, yeah, it's a book about women who get sent to a prison planet, and it's just for not being the ideal version of a woman. And that has...
According to
Men.
these group of old white men.
Yeah. So, pretty good, right?
I mean, it'll probably pan out to be a pretty interesting story. I think you told me like the other day, or you're telling somebody else the other day that you said it's like the perfect mix between like.
I said to Sherelle actually when I was trying to sell her and doing the intro for us. Yeah, I think to me it's like Orange is the New Black meets The Longest Yard.
Yeah, because there's sports and there's sports against people that they don't like. There's
Women in prison.
There's women in prison, and they're kind of mad about it.
Yeah, and it's written by Kelly Sue DeConnick, and it's got art by Valentine Delandro, and they co-created this. They met at like a Comic-Con in Canada or something, and they kind of hit it off, and they talked about doing a Marvel book, because I think at the time Kelly Sue DeConnick was a big writer for Marvel. She had a pretty long run on Captain Marvel.
Ooh.
And did some Spider-Man and Avengers style stuff, and yeah, she met Valentine and they hit it off, and they talked about doing a Marvel book, but for whatever reason, it never happened. So instead, they decided to create their own story. And Kelly Sue DeConnick was writing 3 different books at the time, or coming up with ideas. And Valentine picked this one, which I'd like to know what those other 2 ideas were, but I'd imagine that this is definitely probably the most interesting of the 3. And then they took it to Image, and
Image loves this kind of stuff.
well, Image is where you go to if you want to do creator-owned stuff.
Okay.
It was started by a bunch of people who left, like, I think mostly Marvel, maybe DC. There's a couple of podcasts out there. The Weekly Planet has a pretty good podcast on the history of Image Comics. I would listen to that because a lot of stuff has come from that we know and love or just know.
And it's just like they don't have a superhero in them like Marvel and DC,
Well,
which is like a nice and refreshing sometimes.
Yeah, they'll do a superhero, but they're not bogged down by continuity. Like, they don't care if their Superman-esque character gets murdered and never brought back, because there's just plenty of other stories to tell. And I liked Kelly Sue DeConnick said in an interview that when she pitched this idea, Bitch Planet was actually the kind of the placeholder title. And in the pitch, she was just kind of, I guess she was nervous, and she's just like, we can change that if we need to, kind of thing. And Eric Stevenson, who was the head publisher at the time, came back to her and he said, I would very much like to publish something called Bitch Planet. So the title stayed. And I think that's pretty cool. It's
a neat title. And I think it like fits, because like when you first read it, when someone probably like first sees it, you're probably like, oh, this is kind of vulgar and crude and like probably makes women look bad. But like it's kind of the first two things, but not the last one.
What I like about the title is they work it into the actual book, because it's not actually called Bitch Planet.
What's it? It's ACO.
Yeah.
What does that stand for?
It stands for things. It's just kind of like...
I'm just going to keep making this noise until I find it in the book. Look it up
too. People are loving this probably.
Good thing we do this live.
Oh wait, hold on. I know where it's gonna be. 1 second.
Well, I've got it. I thought I had it, but then I don't see it.
Auxiliary Compliance Outpost.
Oh, thank goodness.
Thanks to anyone who stayed through all that, or at least one person who stayed through all that. But yeah, that's the official name, but everybody just calls it Bitch Planet, and it's kind of...
Except that one guy who's like, guys, can you just call it by the name I said, please?
Yeah, he's the main guy. He's the one who runs it or whatever.
Roberto Salonzo or something like that.
Yeah, and...
Salonza.
There's a bunch of... What's fun about this in this first... I think this is only 10 issues total, but what we're talking about today is only the first 5.
Yeah.
And you get a quick sense of kind of how this world works, and like just stuff outside of it that really adds to it to kind of get you up to speed, because at the end of every issue there's like these fake ads.
Oh yeah, I don't remember exact ones or anything like that.
Well, here, let me find them.
I got them right here.
Oh, good.
Yeah, are you non-compliant? Girls. X-ray specs, the perfect way to see through his intentions. Protect your face. Get a face so women don't see your face and know that you're beating up women.
Yeah.
So you're not like right in the forefront. Stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. One of my favorites is this one right here. It's like an ad for a genotize ring.
Gyno.
So
like a gynecologist.
Oh, gynecoz, you're right.
Yeah.
What is it? I don't know. It just says like, is this other woman prettier than you? Is she getting all the attention? And then, after 2 sessions with this gyno coin, she'll hand out National Organization of Women pamphlets, and after 3 sessions, she'll spell women with a Y and repulse every man in the area. So you'll be on top again. So it's just kind of like it's an obvious joke, but in this world, it's a legitimate advertisement, and like you get glimpses of that in one of the, I think it's the 3rd issue with there's these girls who buy a muffin and they split it 3 ways.
Oh yeah, that's
and
ridiculous.
They're like,
because they're like talking about like, oh, we gotta watch where this is like the calorie counting, and then they're like, I evac'd, which means they pooped into a toilet, and their toilet weighs how much they poop.
Is it? I thought it was just that like they purged.
No, it said evac'd because
okay.
Then she said I had like a certain amount of ounces and stuff like that, and I thought it was throw up at first, but then like because I just saw this like ad on the side of like a building, and it says eat less, poop more.
Oh, okay.
It's like lighter, thinner, better, or something like that.
Yeah, and she's bragging about
how much she pooped, because she's like, I only ate this much, and then I pooped out more than that.
Mm-hmm. And her friend's just like, I'm jealous of your bowels. Well, I give up my bowels for your hair. And they have a little bit of a laugh, but it's just how far gone some of these women are.
Well, you see them, they're ones that are like, the ones that are compliant, air quotes, the same person, but like I guess, like superficial and like
They're
just
being
really compliant.
Well, they're striving to be exactly what men want them to be, and it's seen as normal.
Yeah.
But on the only normal part of society is really just the people on Bitch Planet, not counting the guards, obviously. And that's why they get sent there, obviously, because
They don't fit the standards.
Yeah, and they don't want other people to kind of catch on to their way of thinking, so they shut it down pretty quickly. And one thing, like as a first trade, this is a really good one because it just sets everything up so well. It sets up the world. You get a good sense of the characters and kind of where they're at and what motivates them or doesn't motivate them. But also, by the end of it, you want to instantly read more.
Oh, yeah.
It's got a lot of mystery and intrigue.
I got 5 more issues, and I probably won't wait to record our next Bitch Planet episode to read it.
You probably won't wait till we finish this episode.
I'm reading it right now.
Yeah, you'll just get up and leave and go get it right now. Good on you. Yeah, and I have a few points I always like to talk about, but the mystery and the intrigue that's what really just kind of like got me on board with it. And that first issue is really where a lot of it takes place because they kind of just thrust you into what this planet is and how like messed up it can be. And then you see this woman who you think is going to be your main character, who you're going to follow, and then she's murdered.
Yeah, because like we get our like new batch of like inmates basically in the buff, and this creepy pink lady is like telling them like, "Oh, come on in," and they're like, "Man, I really hate this like hologram person." Then that one's really scared. And that's how they always do it. It seems like prison stories. They're like, let's make this the most scared one our main character first. And that's not how they did it because they wanted to bring the strong woman to the forefront.
They wanted to subvert those expectations, just twist the genre on its head.
And they subverted them because like one of the first main characters we get is Penny Roll, and she's one of my favorite ones.
I love her too. Yeah, she's great.
She's a bigger gal.
Yeah, with
like tattoos and like cut off the side, like her hair's cut on the sides, just like with like a mohawk of like curls.
Did you love the? I went back and reread it before you came here, and I noticed that when you first see her, there's a panel with where it shows her arm, and it's a tattoo that says "Born Big."
Yeah, and that's what we were talking about with like the muffin factory. I noticed that was like what her muffin, like before she got sent to the prison planet. She had a like business where she baked stuff that was also called Born Big.
Yeah.
That was like her like mother's or father's or something like that store.
I believe so. I want to. That's one of my favorite parts of this, so I want to get back to that one. But
yeah,
kind of going back,
we'll hop back in there.
Yeah, but you were kind of talking about you think this. It is always like that in these films and shows with women in prison, and they do quickly just flip it. And even in the book, they comment on that trope because you have these two guys who I don't exactly know what they do, but they seem to run the prison, like all the like they're the ones who set up the pink woman to do whatever and
for specific scenarios and that sort of thing. They watch. They got the little Google Glass eye monocle thing on their face and stuff like that.
That Dragon Ball Z Scouter.
Yeah.
There's a deep cut for anyone. Well, it's not that deep, is it? People know
Dragon Ball.
About
that. Their levels are over 9,000. That jazz. I did it.
Yeah, you did. Yeah, you did. Definitely did. But yeah, like they've been doing this for so long. It seems that it is just kind of like reruns of a show that they've watched for so long. Because Marion is the woman who like I said, she gets murdered before she becomes our main character or whatever. Penny's the one who kind of starts a riot. And then they talk about like, under 2 minutes, that's a new record. And then they're like, okay, now cue the innocent person. And then the next panel is just her saying she's like, innocent.
I don't belong here. Let me out.
Yeah. And
that happens in like every prison movie.
Yeah. And I
think a Shawshank, I don't know, other prison movies.
Yeah. And I think that's Kelly Sue DeConnick's way of kind of, like hanging the lampshade and everything and just bringing attention to how ridiculous it is at this point. It's so repeated. And then quickly getting away from it. This book, apparently, Delandro and DeConnick described it as being born of a deep and abiding love for exploitation and women in prison movies of the 60s and 70s.
Yeah.
So I'm like, a lot of the stuff, like the way the prison's set up and kind of the thing, like the schedules they have and everything, that seems to be where they pull from, and then they create their own thing from that, and works really well, I think. And this is one of those books that like it could quickly go off the deep end and just try to really harp on a specific kind of like point,
Yeah.
to the point where I don't find it interesting. But there's a lot of good stuff in here without just going, look at how messed up this is, kind of thing. Like, that's not the only thing happening in this book.
They bring an interesting story to like get the issue out there without just shoving it down your throat without leaving you anything to like, I don't know, have the entertainment aspect of a comic that you like get from like what anything else we've read so far.
Yeah, because it's not at the forefront, and there's more than just that issue going on. It's obviously like a huge thing in this comic because it runs this entire society, but there's a lot of other kind of things behind the scenes. One of them, the main character ends up being Kamal Kogo, I think is her name.
Yeah.
And we don't know a lot about her at this point. We know that she was some kind of athlete, and then something happened after, they call it like the new proctorate, which is maybe when all this all this new setup happened. But over time, we find out that she does have family, and she's looking for her sister now to maybe be on the team.
I'm not 100% sure, but yeah, they introduce her kind of willy-nilly where we see that like Marion Collins thing. And I want to talk about, because like I thought this book might have gone in a different, at least like slightly less ridiculous scenario.
Less violent situation, yeah.
Because like you see her ex-husband or whatever, he's like, oh, I gotta get her back, and like the whole time like they're going back and forth between the two of them like talking, and you're like, oh, he wants to get her back. Maybe like not all men suck, and he's like, oh, I had an affair, it was my fault. Like I'm sorry, I'll give you money, I'll do whatever I can. And then you find out that this entire time he's trying to save the lady he had an affair with,
who's his new wife,
because the hit got accidentally put on her rather than his like ex-wife. And I was like, oh, he actually cares. And then not at all.
Yeah, it just pulls it out from under you. Yeah. And so I went back and reread that part a couple times because I was trying to, it's one of those things that once you see the twist, you kind of try to go back and see what signs were there. And from what I gather, he says that he paid someone a lot of money to kind of make something go away.
Yeah, to basically get rid of his wife.
Yeah, and that's what was throwing me off because I thought he paid for her to like kind of be rehabilitated,
yeah,
and
to
then
be
she
sent
snapped
back.
again.
Yeah.
But yeah, he paid to quickly divorce and get rid of his first wife, and also kind of speed through the channels to marry this new girl.
Yeah.
And because of that, the warrant for Marion's arrest was still active. Or no, it expired, and then a second one was put out, and that's why Dawn, the new wife, got arrested. And so he had to pay everything else he had to get her out. And it's really just kind of gross because it's almost written as a happy ending because it's like, oh, we can finally start our new lives together. Isn't this great, kind of thing? But then at the same time, it's cutting back and forth to the riot, and then we eventually see she's murdered by someone.
She gets murdered so hard.
Mm-hmm.
And that little blood bubble popping out of her mouth, I was like, this is dark, man.
Yeah, it's so unexpected, and it's so in your face. It sets the tone for the rest of this book where things will kind of be somewhat calm, but then everything will just go to shit, and you're just kind of stumbling through hoping you make it out okay, and not everybody does. And that's kind of what happened to her. But I do like it as the reveal of our main character because, like you said, we see her before when she kind of rescues her, but it's not even like really, like you don't know anything, you don't hear her name, she shows up, she's a random person.
Yeah.
And then at the end, after Marion dies, it's this like huge page, and those guys from the TVs with like the Google glasses or whatever, you know, it's like, who's this woman? And it's like,
she's gonna be our superstar.
Yeah, and that's a really cool reveal for the reader, going like, hey, this is who you're following. And then the issue ends. And obviously we read this back to back because it's already out, but I imagine that this came out somewhat monthly. It was kind of sporadic in its release date apparently, but yeah, you read that and then you have to wait at least a month to get another issue. Like people are chomping at the bit to see what happens next. And then it just sets up a bunch of politics, but it's not boring, so that's good.
She had that rad, like, she was like perfect, like completely horizontal in the midair and like taking down 3 guys at the same time. Like one with like a fist, one with like a foot, and then like I don't even know, maybe her head or something like that.
She was I know exactly. Yeah, she
had like a choke
holding
holding
one and then kicking 2 people at once and then like punching someone else on the side. Like she's a badass straight up. And yeah, it's good writing where, and this is what I really love about comics when you pair up people who are good at this. And I've probably said it before, but you get a writer who is good at writing and good at setup. They have an idea, but they know when to let their artist also chime in and kind of move the story forward. Because I don't want a scene where a character's just like on the side watching her beat up a bunch of people and like, wow, she's like the strongest fighter in the thing or whatever. You don't need to say that because we can see it in the fight. And I did have kind of one criticism about this book, and I guess I might as well get into it now. I do really like the art. I think that the action and just the settings and everything, it just looks really unique. It's very stylized, but the character design throughout is a little generic at points, I think, because you like obviously you have Penny. Like there's no other character like Penny, but everyone else, Kamal Kogo's pretty unique, but everybody else in this kind of looks like another person.
Yeah, no, that's true, and it does get better about it towards the end once that's what we were talking about with The Longest Yard. There's going to be a sports thing. She puts a team together and they get stats shown on the screen. And once you get that, you're seeing like, oh, that's what that character is. That's who that is. They introduce a lot of people in one like go.
Yeah, and
that's when they start to like diversify a little bit. But before they say that specifically, you're just seeing like a sea of same faces basically.
Yeah, and like haircuts are the same. There's a Mako is one of the characters on the team for a little bit. And they're cutting back to her at one point during the game, and also her father talking to, I guess it's her mom in a flashback maybe. It's kind of unclear, but she looks exactly the same. I thought it was her for a second. And then the 2 guys, the control room guys,
I can't tell the difference between them.
Well, at first I thought it was the same person and he just talked to himself because there's a lot of close-ups on him and you can tell one of them's bald, and then it turns out that there's another one who has a little bit of hair up top, but in the close-up he just looks like the same exact guy. So yeah, that's my one complaint overall I think of this book is it looks really awesome when I can tell kind of what's going on and who everyone is, but there are a lot of moments where I can't see that. And you're right, it does get better because we narrow down the characters to the team, and that's the only ones we really need to know anyway. But especially back on Earth, where it's just a bunch of like politicians and fathers and whatever, I can't tell who's talking to who. That was a solid chunk. You said you were going to do that. So
I thought I was going to do it in the middle.
I respect
Catch you off guard.
I respect you for doing that.
It wasn't that good.
It sounded pretty good in the old microphone.
It was a good chomp, but like it wasn't very good.
Like tasting wise.
Yeah, it didn't soak up as much as I thought it would.
You can give it enough time. You down that thing, man. Higgins, it's 2 p.m. All right, calm down.
It's a perfect time for a Bloody Mary.
He's just taking out the pitcher from under the desk, pouring another glass. He doesn't care.
But yeah, no, we got all those people in there. Honestly, before we start all that, we have to get to the point where they like are even like introduced to the game and stuff like that, right?
Higgins, I'm a strong, independent woman today. I don't have to do anything.
I guess that's true. We don't have to follow a timeline, but like those fathers, basically like.
It's really about this one.
Yeah, the father...
Josephson?
Yeah.
What kind of a name is that?
I don't know. He's the son of Joseph.
Oh, okay.
That's how it works in Iceland, at least. Because he wasn't getting the ratings he wanted for his, like, I guess, the TV thing that we mentioned. And that's where we meet Robert Salanza again.
Yeah, who just swoops in like Mary Poppins and wants to fix everything.
He's like, it'd be pretty rad if I got you to beat up some women on TV.
And then eventually he's like, you know what? That does sound pretty rad. Because for whatever reason, this one big football player died, and
Got so many ratings.
because his mom was on the telly, I guess.
I have no idea.
I think that's what it was, because he wasn't necessarily upset about ratings because they were pretty steady. He was upset about engagement being down.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know how you measure that.
I don't know how you measure it either, but that was what kind of brought it to a point that that's all they care about. Like, this guy just died. His mother's, like, broken up about it. And then he's like, oh, hell yeah. Look at all these engagements I got coming up here. This guy's dead, but like, man, he can really bump our stats.
Yeah, and he's such a piece of shit because when he finds out he's dead, he's just like, the assistant's just like, hey, we sent, the usual condolences and flowers. And he's like, all right, cool, that's good.
It's like, cool, let me check the stats now.
And then later they go to his funeral and the mom's just like bawling and Robert Solanzo comes to talk to him at the funeral and he's just like, he's like, should I say something? And he's just like, there's nothing that we can do. We gave them a lot of money. Honestly, they're doing more for us, and that's better. And then,
and the guy like ends up smiling because the guy's like, oh yeah, you can have your women team. And then he starts to smile, and he's like, come on, man, not in front of the camera. At least pretend to look like you're sad about this.
Yeah, and it's just an interesting scene between the two of them because Robert Solanzo or Alberto Solanzo, whatever his name is,
Roberto Solanza.
Yeah, he's obviously just as terrible in his own way, but he does kind of feel something for other people because he offers to say something and the other guy is clearly just putting on an act and that's all he cares about. And I can't help but think that whatever happens with the story when we come back to it, something really terrible is going to happen to this man, and I'm looking forward to it.
Something real bad, because like they talk about it once Kamau Kogo, she gets put in a room and it's like basically telling her it's all her fault that lady died. You killed her. Mm-hmm. And that's what leads her to be like the team leader, the Adam Sandler of The Longest Yard.
What an honor.
The one
Burt
blonde
Reynolds?
lady, the one blonde lady. Yeah, Burt Reynolds is in the original.
He's in the other one too. He's the coach or something.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And then what was it?
Chris Rock.
No, I'm not talking about The Longest Yard anymore.
Oh, we're not talking about The Longest Yard?
The Piper lady from The Orange Is the New Black. She's that one.
I really want to keep talking about The Longest Yard.
That's a fine movie.
Yeah, she gets put in solitary confinement. The cocktail shaker top popped off. There's all that pepper and Tabasco building up.
I'm so confused. Will that be on the mic, or is it just going to sound like we got scared for no reason?
I mean, Higgins, we got scared for a pretty good reason, all right?
Ghostesses.
But yeah, she's in solitary confinement, and this introduces another kind of... This prison planet was clearly set up by men because the things they get sent there for, that's an obvious giveaway, but also how it's ran and kind of the ways they try to rehabilitate these women and befriend them at points is a man's idea of like, this will work because
she's a lady.
They employ a woman and she's the only one who doesn't show her face because...
You mean she's the only one that does show her face?
Yeah, see, I did the thing that... yeah, but yeah, so they don't let her wear a mask because it's like, oh, if we show them that a woman is working for us and she's happy about it, then they'll come around to our way of thinking and realize that we're not that awful. But we know that the women only see that as you've betrayed all of us and we don't want anything to do with you. And she's smart, clearly. Like, she's been doing this for a while because she knows that Kogo can kind of see through the bullshit, but she also knows exactly what to say to kind of get her listening at least. And maybe one of the worst characters, like the father's definitely at the top, but she might be right after as far as one of the worst people in this book. And she's from Georgia.
She is from Georgia. She's got the sweet tea.
She had a sweet
And then she showed us that really like fucked up
squirrel
video of squirrels attacking each other.
And they're like, hey, this is the natural order. It's good, isn't it? And
yeah.
She's just like, there's a big dead squirrel on the screen.
Is that supposed to make me want to do something?
And yeah, so she's brought along to kind of sell the idea of playing this. It's called Megaton or
Megaton or Dumila.
Yeah.
That's how I said it, Dumila.
I'm just gonna call it
Give me
Megaton.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
But yeah, she's given the opportunity to be the leader, and she's like, screw you, like I'm not gonna do that. And then like all of her ladybuds in the prison are like, oh, you should definitely do that, like we could really stick it to the man that way and stuff like that. My favorite scene, my favorite like set of like images in this entire comic is when she's like running and they're all telling her, and you see Penny, she's like trying to keep up, and then she like loses her breath, and the guards are like, get to moving, get to exercising, and she's like, screw you, I'm gonna like, she hits them and like a riot starts again. And that one lady, that thing where you're like, that thing you were saying, I don't know who it was, but she's like, oh, you should do it, and then we can get them back. And then she's like, all right, we'll see ya. I'm going to go join this riot now.
It just builds and builds over time. And like, because it's a couple different interactions. I think Violet's the first person she talks to who's just kind of like, yeah, you should do this. It's going to be on television. And the camera's like kind of moved to the left.
Yeah.
Because Mako was right next to her the whole time. And she's just like, you should do it. And they talk about, why should I do this? And that's where the ideas floated around, where on the day of the game, all the like most important fathers will be on the same ship. And turns out Mako designed that ship so she could probably bring it down.
Yeah.
And so that was kind of the idea. I don't know where the idea goes in the future, which we'll get to, but yeah, it just escalates so badly in that background. And it's the background stuff that you really just pay attention to the whole time. Like I found myself looking to see what happens next with that before going back to the actual conversation about the game. And
I know, man, because it gets like super intense, and
Penny's like got 7 or 8 dudes just like piled on her, and she's
Yeah.
still moving around beating up other guys. And then like you see the first person who talked to Kogo, she runs off, and then she like jumps
in
really
and
high in the
punches,
air.
and punches him in the face.
And what's really cool is even behind that, something else is going on, because you see a bunch of women
Like
looking
doing,
at the pink woman on a big screen doing
like some jazzercise type stuff.
yeah, and then it quickly like disperses as the riot breaks out. How'd you feel about the whole like pink woman thing? What's your take on that?
I mean, I feel like I've seen this kind of character or like this sort of thing before. It's like this really upbeat, like peppy, like hologram / robot or something that's supposed to make you feel like acclimated to this planet that you're on. But really, it's like some really sadistic, like just messed up thing.
Just propaganda bullshit. Yeah. And I enjoy that, because I was, they're like, oh, I hate this bitch. I'm like, well, how do you know who this is? Because you just got to the prison planet. It's the same hologram all over the world doing everything. She's like a newscaster. She's a sports commentator. It's so embedded in the world that you have to watch it as well. Because my favorite issue is issue 3, because that's Penny's origin story, and she's running the bakery, and then there's this one dickhead who kind of like starts the whole chain of events, because he's like, hey, it's 7:10. Where's the feed? Which is what they just call television, I guess.
Yeah, because I got confused at first because she's in a muffin shop, so I just thought he meant like the food.
Yeah, because he's like, we need the feed or whatever. Yeah,
It's like, you haven't made our muffins yet. What's the holdup?
Yeah, it's really good. I love that issue. But yeah, this pink woman thing, girls growing up are supposed to see that and go, oh, that's what
me.
I need to be, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things that in this world was clearly designed by men, because the way she looks, the outfits she wears, and kind of like the different personas she has.
Like glitzy, like not really there kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
The exact person that like those women in the shop that actually happens in this issue that we were talking about earlier.
It really harps on this idea that the ideal version of a woman was created by a man who has no clue what women need or want or are. Just like us, we have no clue.
Yeah, I don't have any clue.
Yeah, we barely know how to turn these microphones on.
But
We should have asked Sherelle to do the whole podcast, you think?
yeah, she probably would have.
Yeah.
And then she would have like done a better job than us.
Well, I'm pretty sure if we gave the mic to anybody, they would do a better job than us. But you know what, though? We've got Bloody Marys, so...
Well, I don't. And I was going to say, can we take a timeout sports thing?
Yeah.
Set a sports word so we can make more Bloody Mary. I'm only going to make a half batch.
Okay, that's
Because
fine.
it is 2 o'clock in the afternoon.
It's good to see you have a little bit of control.
Okay, and yeah, we're back. I got a little bit more Bloody Mary.
Mm-hmm.
My little guy's like resting in there.
You're talking about the celery,
The
celery, right?
man. Yeah, that can be our like intro, right? My little celery man.
No, Sherelle's thing is the intro.
No, I mean like I'm talking about
think
I'm talking about the promo picture. I'm just gonna
okay.
take a picture of it real quick. Don't worry.
Okay. You gonna like draw a face on it, and that's supposed to be your little celery man? Because you should.
Yeah, I can do that.
Yeah, do it later. Let's instead talk about the thing that we're
Well,
talking
I
about.
want there to be juice in there when I take the picture.
All right, fine. Do you want a marker?
No, I don't want a marker.
Then how are you gonna draw a face on it?
I don't know with the internet.
Yeah, because you barely know how to work the internets.
Yeah, I got it though. I took
right.
the picture. It might not be good, but it'll be there.
It clearly shows your dedication to this podcast.
I know. All up in there.
Are you ready to be all up in Penny's origin story?
Yeah, because it's pretty cool.
Yeah, we've been.
It's nice that she's got like really one origin story and it's hers.
Well, that's not actually going to be the only one. I read up on it because I thought it was a little weird to just kind of throw a by itself origin in this, but apparently every third issue is an origin, and then they kind of found out when Orange is the New Black started up that they do a similar thing,
Yeah.
but they just went with it anyway, which, you know, I respect that. You had the idea, might as well use it. So I guess there's 10 issues, I think I said, and I guess we'll get 2 more origins. One of them's got to be about Kogo. Why would it not?
And then maybe Mako.
But do you need one though? Because
I
she's
don't know.
dead, which, you know, we'll talk about that last. But yeah, this was my favorite issue because I loved Penny from the get-go anyway.
And I think I know why they like picked her as like the main origin story. She's probably like the most against the mold, I guess, character that we see, and you kind of see how she gets to the point where she's like as angry as she is about all this, and you see like just a fun little happy schoolgirl, kind of like baking muffins with her mom.
It's her grandma.
And she gets like taken away. Like her grandma gets taken away for
Reasons.
yeah, not even explained. Like she just like it almost makes you think like the fact that she got like a little dirty in the kitchen is like the reason that she gets taken away.
Yeah, it is just all of a sudden because you do have this sweet moment of a little girl with her grandma baking, and then, you know, there's a mess, but then they
Fun
just
little
have
food fight.
Just fun little food fight, eating some batter. And she's teaching her how to make muffins, which plays into later on in this issue, which is, you know, that's always fun that's a fun thing to pick up on. But yeah, it's quickly ruined, and we never really get an explanation why she's arrested, and Penny doesn't either, and it does leave her very bitter even before she ends up on Bitch Planet. Like, she punches the crap out of a kid
For making fun of like her scenario
and
or like her situation with her mom being taken away or something like that too.
it's stayed with her. Like, these events stayed with her and just pushed her until she snapped, because she's kind of been compliant when we get to the part where she's working in the muffin shop. Like,
She's like, oh, sorry, here's a muffin. I'll turn the feed on. Say thanks for letting me know.
there's bits where her hair comes out of the like the hairnet or whatever, and she
She's
kind
like,
of
oh shoot,
puts
I gotta
back.
get it hidden.
And it was just one bad day that made her finally just say, you know, fuck it, and she
Hits that guy with that rolling pin.
her in the like mouth or neck or something. It's brutal.
Yeah.
And it's a chaotic scene that's also got some pretty funny moments in it, because she snaps, yells at everyone to get out. She beats up that one guy with a rolling pin, but then as those young girls are running away, she's like,
take the muffins, just eat them.
Please eat these muffins.
Eat them, dang it. Like, have more than one.
Have more than 15 calories a day.
Yeah.
It sounded like a disgusting muffin, though.
Yeah, gluten-free, sugar-free,
Salt-free.
something like that.
And also, I don't know if you were paying attention, but the way she makes muffins is pretty barbaric.
Just like punches the stuff.
Apparently, they're the best in town, so
Yeah.
there you go. Good on her. And then we cut to
At the end.
Yeah, where she's, and that's where I was saying, like, you know, we're talking about like 7 or 8 fathers. I think there's just like hundreds of these guys, because in her kind of her evaluation, she's
Oh yeah, there's
surrounded,
a bunch of screens, yeah.
and they're all disgusted by her.
And they have this mirror thing that attaches to her brain, and they're like, "Oh, let's see what your ideal self looks like, and see if we can't get you closer to that."
Mm-hmm. Let's find a like a goal and work towards it, kind of thing.
And it's nice because she is her ideal self.
Yeah, it's just her laughing in
Yeah.
the mirror. Yeah, and that scene shows they're pretty much idiots, because when they put the thing on her,
Al Griffins.
The guy's like, he's like, yeah, so this thing does this, and this will let us see your ideal self using a series of algorithms. And then the guy's like, algorithms, and he's just like you guys have no clue what you're doing, do you?
Yeah, those things.
But they're the ones who run the world.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Like I said, it's that stuff behind the scenes that really just kind of lets you quickly get a handle of what's going on, and so anything that happens in the story just makes sense. Like I don't have to question like, well, why are these guys in charge, or why is this happening? Like you get that in conversations, and it never has to just be shoved in your face. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to the other origins that we're gonna get. I don't know who they'd be, but one of them's got to be Coco, and that's who I'm really. I want to know what's going on.
I think she'll be probably last.
I would say so, yeah, because there's only 10, so she would be
keeping.
9.
I want to think they'd keep like as much of a mystery about her life as long as they could.
Yeah, which I'm fine with. I think that makes it more interesting.
We'll let it like pan out as we go, because they had like. I guess they had that one, like, I was only going to say, like, one more thing, but then I remembered the little shower thing where they had a peeping Tom, and she uses it to her advantage.
Yeah.
Because she's going to use him to find her sister.
Mm-hmm. And that's got to be the prisoner, because she's allowed to make up her own team. Like, she gets a list of everybody on the planet who's in prison and what they've done and who in there, and she...
Oh, XXXX.
Yeah.
I didn't even think about that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because she mentions to Miss Whitney... hey, this isn't everybody I looked at. And so they're like, okay, give them the holdovers. And there's like 10 more people on there, but there's one that says like...
She's like, my way or the highway, or I'm out.
Yeah.
No team for you.
That's
Your
right.
ratings will get dropped.
Just putting that foot down, all the way down. And yeah, I would be surprised if it wasn't. But also, and I guess I actually just thought of this, the knife that's used to kill Marion, someone hands a woman a knife and she's black. And Coco's black. What if it is her sister who murdered her?
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe. I think that'd be interesting, because then what connection do those two have at that point, and why would she agree to help? Like, I think there's a lot going on with that subplot, because it's hinted that she might have a brother as well. It's just, there's so much about that character that we don't know, but that is the best part of this book as far as getting me to read the next one. Like, I was going to read it regardless because of how good everything else is, but that's what really pushes me to like go out and get back on it immediately.
Yeah.
But yeah, you wanted to talk about the last bit, which is the scrimmage game.
Oh yeah, they get us. It's the most. I don't know what it is. It's basically like rugby. The game is, but with like some random stuff thrown in, is what I've basically figured it out as.
They did a really good job explaining the sport, because I don't know how like our own sports work, but the game is basically you have a field and
you got a heavy ball.
You got a heavy ball made out of like a shark carcass or something.
And you just beat each other up, but only one-on-one.
Yeah, it's one-on-one fights, and you have to take the ball to the other end of the field, and if you get it straight across, like just anywhere on the line except the corners, you get like a couple points. But if you can get it over the line in the corners, it's worth 5 points.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much the gist of it. And I don't think, this is a sport that women have never played before, so they're kind of like figuring out. They're playing smart, whereas they don't think we have a chance anyway. But also, they play with their bodies. They play with brute strength. We have a bit of that, but
we got some smarts too.
Yeah, let's just play strategy, because Mako's insanely fast.
She's a speedy girl.
Mm-hmm. And Penny's a wall, so you pair those two together, you'd be getting points all day. And they proved that in the first scrimmage game, and that was against other inmates, so it was a fair fight. But then you get an actual game against these guards, and
they're doing 2-on-1s against Penny because they had overheard them in practice saying like, "Oh, Penny's just gonna take out a couple," like just not when anyone thinks they're being like watched or listened to.
Well, it was just like it was a fun practice game with the other women. Yeah. So it's just like, the rules just are kind of loose.
Around, yeah.
And they use that as an excuse to do their thing where, they just, it's tough to watch, because they're like hitting them with those helmets and dragging them to the ground, and it just escalates and escalates, and it's a really bittersweet moment because Mako gets a point.
Mako gets like the score that puts them ahead of the guards to end the game, and then one of the guards is like, "Oh, keep laughing," behind his mask, and then he like snaps her neck,
Mm-hmm.
And then they're like, oh, drop the ball, forfeits.
Yeah. She can no longer play, so she forfeits kind of thing. And that's like, you find that out before you find out she's dead. Her dying is like the last page of this, and then you're just left with that cliffhanger till the next volume. And I mean, yeah, that's the way you do it. It also maybe hints that Penny is gonna kind of carry that guilt, because Penny's supposed to be her block.
Yeah.
But she gets into a fight with another guard, and it just kind of like lets it get out of hand. And then Kogo's just like, "Hey, you need to go where Mako is," and she can't catch up in time. So maybe if she had been there, she could have stopped that guard from doing what he did. And I think that'd be pretty interesting to follow through with another issue. Maybe they will, maybe they won't. They don't have to. That was something I picked up on that I'd really like to see more of. But yeah, it's dark because now what do they do? Because Mako was like
their star,
mm-hmm.
and they had a few other people. That was the page they show like all those stats on the different women and stuff like that. Or it might, yeah, when they're doing their little practice game, they're like, oh, we got this one, all that, what they got like put in for and that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
The whole rest of the issue, you see like the back and forth between her dad, who's supposed to build the stadium for like this tournament that they're doing and that stuff. And the reason he's even considering it is because Mako is his daughter, and he's like, oh, I'm going to get to see her. And that's what makes like, he's like one of the like lighter hearted guys. I mean, he's still not great, but like he's excited to see his daughter hasn't seen his daughter in years, and he wants to see her and doesn't think it's right that she's on this planet, and now she's dead before he even gets there.
Yeah.
And I also want to see what happens with like that sort of thing.
Yeah, I imagine because Mako was kind of part of the original plan to make an attack on all these guys because she knew the ship, and so she could probably bring it down. She's gone, so that plan's out of the way. But if, like you said, he finds out, what's he going to do with that information? He's building the stadium. He might just kind of
might be a good addition to the team.
Yeah, like he might just, hey, I may or may not have built this secret passage that leads directly to where all these guys are sitting.
But this is all speculation. So you'll find out on the next 5 issues. Like us, we're all in the dark together. Isn't it wonderful?
Men and women equal together
in this one specific thing.
On this one special day.
International Women's Day.
Yeah. Yeah, it's one of those things that like I'm really itching to read more of it, and
it's fun.
It's fun. It's entertaining, and it's got this issue that's, I mean, I don't really pretend to know a lot about feminism. I don't think I can spell it, but seeing kind of this story told through a woman's perspective is as great as it's ever going to be, and it's not something I really thought I would be into until we did it for this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we learned something.
We learned that we can say and think things about women, and that's okay, I hope. God, I hope so.
Do you want to give this a rating and corral this thing up?
Yeah, and go home?
Yeah,
we can do that. So what do we do? Oh, we do ratings, that's right. Higgins, as is tradition, ladies first.
Ladies first, all right. So
but that's a compliment today.
That's
every day, really.
Every day.
Yeah.
Obviously, I told you I enjoyed and what I didn't enjoy, but I'm going to give it 3 freckles out of 3 freckles on that Peeping Tom's penis.
They do point out each freckle.
Yeah, in like a panel.
Yeah.
We didn't talk about it, but like now you guys get to watch.
Yeah, go back and look at that. Yeah. I poured way too much time into looking at where those freckles were.
Oh, yeah.
It's just really close up, so I'm like, well, is that one near his left or his right ball? And then I kind of like, why am I doing this? They got me. For myself, the things that I said and think, I had that problem with the art a little bit. I think the art paired with the colors, which I didn't, shouts out to the colorist, Chris Peter, did a pretty good job. Oh, and also, little shout out to the artist for the 3rd issue, because apparently every 3rd issue has a guest artist.
Oh.
And so this one who did Penny's origin was Robert Wilson IV.
Okay.
So yeah, shouts out to those people. Good jobs. But yeah, the problem with the art, I kind of had it aside. There's still a lot of great art in this. I'm going to give this book right here. I'm gonna cheat if that's okay.
Yeah, that's fine.
So for this book, I'm gonna give it 2 big tons of fun because they mentioned that sports.
Oh, yeah.
2 tons of fun, and so was this book. So yeah, good stuff.
All right. And then we got to pick what we're going to read next month.
We're really not prepared today.
I don't know what
Higgins,
happens. What happens in April?
I tried. There's nothing really happening in April.
There's got to be something in April.
There's like
showers bring May flowers. Is there a book about rain?
Probably. I didn't go there. I tried Easter. I tried April Fools. There's not a lot of books out there that are really short enough to read. While you look something up, though, I'll just go through the other bit and tell people where they can find us and talk to us if they want. All right. So, Higgins, you're on social media. You have a Twitter. You have an Instagram. Your Twitter is at Mike Higgins93, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then your Instagram is at JStern93.
You nailed it.
Nice. I nailed that because I don't get on social media anymore, so I don't have to worry about my own. But if you wanted to talk to me or Higgins or both at the same time, you can. We have a Gmail. It's yourcomrades@gmail.com. Tell us what you thought about this book. Tell us if you think our opinions of this book are right or wrong. Tell us how much you love International Women's Day. I had a really good time today, I think.
I had a good time. I got a Bloody Mary for the first time. I enjoyed it way more than I thought I would.
Mm-hmm. What else? Big thank you again to Sherelle doing the intro. Higgins, you agree?
Wait, what? It beeped.
It beeped. That's fine.
Is it okay that it beeped?
Yeah, it's fine. It's still going.
All
just
right.
say yes.
Yes.
Good. We both think the same thing. That's great. It never really happens. So yeah, all those things are great. Higgins, I'm maybe just kind of killing time while you find something.
It's not going to pertain to anything. I really want to do that one book we both read recently. It's 10 issues by the Bao Mal Brazil guy.
Oh, Day Tripper.
Yeah, I really want to do Day Tripper, and I can't think of a better time to do it than a month that we can't think of a theme for.
Yeah, that's fine. We'll find a drink that's themed around that book, and that'll count still.
All right.
Yeah, so that's good.
And so that'll be
Day Tripper
by Gabriel Ba and Fabio Moon, that guy we talked about in a previous issue.
Oh,
Gabriel Ba.
I had to put the goat sound in again,
Yeah.
don't I? Yeah. Okay, that's good. I saved it. It's fine. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm forgetting something.
Thanks to all the women that we have in our lives. See you guys.
Is that your sign off?
That's my sign off. You better say yours fast,
All
otherwise I'll have to say something else.
That one's pretty good, so I'll give it to you. So Higgins said his thing first, and now I'll just say cheers, guys.
Bye.
You sure you don't want to say anything else?
Livin' La Vida Loca. See, that's why I wanted you to stop.
You really shouldn't have. No. You had something good and you ruined it.